Chill Girl Chrissy here, Alderman in Ward 6. I am so excited, so blessed. We just finished one show with Steve Stepanak, former state rep, former chair of the NHGOP, who proudly supported Victoria Sullivan, who won Senate seat District 18. All these little things that are big things that you start to learn about.
Yep.
She beat Donna Susie. I am so grateful. So we want Manchester first. We want New Hampshire first. We want America first. We want truth, accountability, and Victoria has been in this insane game of politics for how many years?
I first ran for office in 2013. I think I was selectman in Ward 9.
Okay.
And then I ran for state rep in 2014 because I was just a pissed off PTA mom. And
I get it.
I was watching what was happening in the schools, and I was like, something needs to change. And so 2014, so I served 2014 to 2018 in the legislature on the House Education Committee.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so grateful for you.
Thank you.
So grateful for you. And so you jumped into the Senate race. And how long has Donna Susie been our
12
senator?
years.
12 years.
So I was considering running for mayor again.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was doing listening sessions around the city, I realized like I didn't have to be mayor to make change here.
That's a fact.
Right.
It's a fact.
In fact,
showing up to the alderman meetings,
Yeah.
the school board meetings, that you can be so impactful without being a mayor,
Yeah.
without being an alderman.
I felt like being an activist was going to help people more, especially because I had started, really was working a lot with people that were homeless and in recovery. And then we started, Brittany Ping and I and Steve Richard.
Yes, love them.
We started a nonprofit sober home in the city for faith-based
Freedom Movement.
for men. Yep, Freedom Movement New Hampshire. And I started to learn more about like what the needs were, and a lot of it kept going back to mental health. And I decided I wanted to run for Senate and bring those things to the Senate. Those are statewide issues that will help. And when I was, you and I had discussed it before I actually announced, and I sat down with Jeb Bradley, and when I first sat down with him, I was sort of like, do I really want to do this to myself? I have a job that I love. I have a really good life. And because they just, the Democrats are so unkind, we'll just say. They're just so nasty when it comes to politics. And
just a little.
And the lies, you're on the other
The lies,
the lies and the deceit. And
I'm
was
a
like,
thief from Beach Street Shelter. Like, give me a break.
unbelievable.
Oh
And
my God.
I'm actually
Bindergate.
they actually did a meme of Cruella de Vil and said that I was Cruella de Vil. Like, I adopt everything that comes my way, but yeah, I'm a Cruella de Vil. Hence the dog and cat hair this
You are
morning.
so kind, but you are so strong and resilient.
So I think they don't like the strong part.
Yes.
So I was
Too
like,
bad.
do I want to do this? And then I met with Jeb Bradley, and we had a conversation, and Jeb and I politically don't always agree. Like, you don't agree 100% with people that you even align with, right? And then I was, but we were talking, and he's like, I think you'd be really good at this. I think you have a really good shot. And then, I had sort of gone there just on a fact-finding mission and just thought, either way, I'm going to be okay. And then as I was leaving, he said, Victoria, do you know how many people you can help as a senator? Yeah. And I was like, does someone phone ahead and say if she looks like she's on the fence, say that she can help people? Because reel it in. So that was it.
I got goosebumps.
That was it. So that's what we're attempting to do, is help people from the state level. And it's just, the Democrats still aren't getting it. They're using the same talking points. They're using the same hate, the same vitriol. And you would think after the beating that they just got nationally, right?
Nationally.
I mean, it wasn't even, I thought that we were going to have days of vote counting. I mean, I think California and Philadelphia are still counting, I think. And that there would be riots in the streets. I really did. Yeah. And luckily, thankfully, people handled it very, very well. That we didn't see that uprising that they were actually, the Democrats were hoping for. That their vitriol was trying to get people amped up to hit the streets. We know that they love to see division in the country. Yeah. And then President Trump, it was pretty clear, got the popular vote and the Electoral College votes that night, and so that's it, right? Game over. And
game over.
We actually,
but it's not really. We're
so his results came in sooner than mine did. So my results didn't come in until 1 a.m. It was 1:04. Not that I was staying up and watching the minutes. And I had resolved myself to the fact when I saw her financial, she spent $262,000.
Can you repeat that again? How much did she spend?
$262,000.
$262,000.
Yeah.
Out of control.
I spent $47,000.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And a lot of that was just we did a lot of digital, we did a lot of direct mail.
You door knocked. You have been boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You have been an activist for people and for all of us, and it's not easy going up and speaking at an alderman meeting or a school board
Especially when
meeting.
half the board really doesn't want to hear what you have to say, right? It's not, so this is what I struggle with, because as a legislator, there are people that walk in the room and you're like, oh, you know what they're going to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I always try to have an open mind and listen to what people are saying. I always do. Even if I, have heard them before and they're always before us and they always have the same points, I still listen because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And I have walked into a hearing with my legislation, knowing how I was going to vote, and have my mind changed in the hearings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to listen to the people, right?
Yes, that's how you really make good decisions, is listening to the people in all perspectives, because not one person knows everything.
No.
And it's not good to just vote just because someone told you to do.
But
what
the
is
reason you
that?
have hearings is because people can bring something to your attention that you didn't see. That you understand the bill's intention, so you read it, you talked to the sponsor, you know what's supposed to happen. Somebody else comes in and says, hey, the way I'm reading this could be an unintended consequence, and you're like, whoa, all right, so we need to amend it, or we need to kill it, or maybe it's there's a pro in it that you didn't see, and you thought it was a bad bill, and something, but it will do this, and you're like, oh, it is a good bill.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, but you have to listen, and we're just not seeing that at the aldermanic board. I mean, you and a handful of others, but I think we saw it at the school board meeting. I didn't watch it last night because I was painting my bathroom.
All right, you guys have to tune in. Go to manchestertv.org and watch them. I just couldn't even believe it. I'm going to just bring up a couple things.
Brendan, what day will last night's school board meeting be up on demand?
Maybe he's not. He's letting us go wild.
He's smarter than that. All right. I'm sorry?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's usually up within a day or two.
Yeah.
Right? So you can go to manchestertv.org on demand, look at channel 22, and it will have all the school board meetings, aldermanic meetings, anything city government related.
What I think was unreal is that they were just up in arms. They thought they had a slam dunk when they were just going to push through with taking a park from the inner city and demolishing Beach Street School. That affects everyone, all the neighbors. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't even know what's going on.
So what blew my mind at that hearing was we got a whole bunch of people to show. You
Yes.
had posted it. We got a whole bunch of people to show
I
up.
was so grateful.
Taxpayers, these taxpayers showed up and said, no, we don't want this. We can't afford this. And, the superintendent's trying to say, it's not going to raise taxes. Well, of course it is, because there are other things that this money is supposed to be used for, and it's supposed to be used for adequacy, which means helping the kids in the classroom. And the nonsense of this building that they're going to meets the new pedagogy.
Oh,
what
state
the
of the art.
heck was even what?
But only
new
one
pedagogy?
school matters. That's what they're.
Well, and so back in the 70s when this school was built, it was state of the art. That's what they kept saying. It was open concept. It was going to be great. Highland Goffs Falls was also built the same way. There was another one. It might have been Parker Varney. I'm not sure. Great, this whole 70s free love, hippie movement, commune attitude. This is what the children need. Open concept classrooms. It was like an open building, right? Well, they quickly learned that children make noise, and it's very distracting to have other children that they can hear. And they had to build walls. They first did little petitions, I guess, but then they had to build actual walls and redo the schools. So now they're saying, well, those schools that were state of the art in the 70s that we had to redo because we didn't think it through, now have to be redone. And this is the first build, mind you. They made that very clear when the superintendent was speaking. She said, this is the first build. So this is the first $80-something million that they want to spend as part of the almost $500 million that they want to spend. It's insane. And
when the classroom is getting smaller, kids are going to other schools because they're not getting the education that they need.
So the other part of that is the
declining enrollment.
So it's just so hard because they make so many poor choices. They really do. There's no forethought. So what they did was when they made all-day kindergarten, they went from having to be able to use one classroom for 2 classes because you'd have morning and afternoon in the same classroom, right? Now they needed to have more rooms because they had all day. So now if they had 2 kindergarten classes morning and afternoon, now they needed 4 classrooms and they needed 2 more teachers, right? Then after that, they decided to bring the preschool, the special ed preschool, into the buildings. So now they're taking, like, literally this happened at Highland Goss Falls. They took the nurse's room, the isolation room, where, like, if someone's contagious, she puts them in there. They took that and made that into, like, a room for specialists to meet. They closed the art room and the music room, and now they were on carts because they had no space left.
The art room and the
they were on
music
carts.
room are on carts?
Yep, they bring them around.
That is so important. Art, gym, movement, music, all of that is so vital for everyone, for mental health, for education. That's insanity.
So then after that, their next step was to move the 5th graders into middle school so they could open up those classrooms and use them for all the things that they already shoved into the school, right? No forethought whatsoever, no planning. And now you've got 5th graders in middle school, which is a terrible idea because our middle schools are very violent, and if you don't trust me, look at the police logs. They're not controlled. And so now you've got 5th graders in there 5 through 8, and then you've got the high schools. But now they started to close the elementary schools after all of that. So now they're consolidating elementary schools. They're putting them in these $17 million tin cans. And now instead of B Street having 500 kids, it's going to have 850. If they do this, it's going to have 850 elementary school students in one building. And when you supersize things, like they want to have the supersized high school, the kids in the middle are the ones that they cater to. The kids that need help, the kids that excel, get totally lost. There's more violence in the schools. There's more problems with disciplinary actions. It's just a terrible idea.
It's heartbreaking.
They're not thinking about the kids. And I encourage people to look at, like, Jim O'Connell, who just said that, one of the contractors has $80 million on the line they could lose. Check out his financials.
You know what?
See who supported him as executive counsel. Always
Things that
follow
make
the
you
money.
go,
Always follow the money.
Yes, it is definitely all about following the money, which is really, really sad.
Right.
And what I learned, and I believe to be true, was it's not about the education.
It's not about the education.
No, they're like, this is economic. I mean, I wrote down some of the things. First of all, let's go over how these tin cans, they are tin cans. How did they discuss them? They were state of the art. They're not trailers. They're way different. They're going to be unbelievable.
But when we had them a few years back, they made sure that we got rid of them because, and honestly, when it comes to safety.
Yes, that was my concern, is the safety.
When you walk into a school building, you have to walk in, there's a locked door, you have to buzz in, you go in. Now they literally have kids in tin cans, right?
And they have to go back and forth into the main school on top of it. But they spent $16 million on these tin cans. But they said they were going to be state of the art and it was going to be amazing. I don't even know what that means. But so that's what they were saying, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, the whole 9 yards. But Mayor Baines and school board member, he said last night that he was so upset with all of us. And he said, they will be condemned to the portables. And I'm like, whoa, I thought you guys said, and I'm blanket across the whole school board, that these were state of the art, this was amazing, but now they're going to be condemned to the portables. And then school member Peter, I can't remember his last name, sorry, he's very nice, but he said kids will be stuck in portables. So I'm like, okay, so you guys were so positive about these portables. So now they're awful, and now they're going to be condemned and stuck. So what is it? What is it?
Yeah, and so when we were at the aldermanic meeting, one of the aldermen said, you know, these kids, especially in this neighborhood, need to know that they're valued and we need to invest this money. So a couple of things. First of all, kids don't feel valued by possessions. They feel valued by the way you make them feel.
So
right?
true.
And if you invest in these kids inside the building instead of in the brick and mortar, they would feel more valued. But the way that they talk about these kids, like they're such elitists. You know, they're very good families that attend Beach Street School, right? We have a large immigrant population that attends there. They are very involved in their community. When there are community events there, because Beach Street is a community center as well, they come out with the families. And the way that they talk about the families that attend there, it's shocking to me. Like, just because they're in a poor neighborhood doesn't mean that they're not, you know, good people and good parents.
That's right.
Right? And I also would argue that if you want them to feel more valued, keep the property taxes low so that their parents can get out of apartments and into a home. Make sure that they can feed their kids. Make sure they can clothe their kids. Because the more that you raise the property taxes, it immediately raises rent.
Yes, it does.
It kicks people out
It
of the
affects
homes that they've
everyone.
been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just don't seem to get that correlation. So if you want to help these families and be respectful of them and value them, then you keep the taxes low and say that we value you as part of our city and we want you to stay here. Don't make it so that it's so unaffordable they have to leave. But it's like they have a huge disconnect between the money they spend and how it impacts these families, all the families, the elderly. Like,
Well, they think that money grows on trees. They think it's their money to spend. But when it's your money, don't you like think about how you're going to spend it?
well, you've got a lot of people on the board too that have huge pensions. They were public employees. They have huge
Yes,
pensions,
that's
and they
true.
don't understand how how regular folks live. And people need to start electing people that are blue collar people, right? That they
Small
have
business owners.
Yeah, they
I
have
mean,
to. I mean, Jim Burkish makes, I think it's $150,000 a year on his pension
$150,000 a
in
year.
retirement. In
Retirement.
and he can work and do
So
other
then
things, and he has.
He can afford to,
Yeah.
you know,
right.
to be alderman.
And you look at, you know, Dan O'Neill and Pat Long, like these are a lot of retired people. They're union
they
people.
get big
and
pensions.
they get pensions that most people can't, just don't have. People are most
Us
elderly.
ordinary people.
Most of our elderly are living on $20,000 a year. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's crazy. So they don't understand, and they think spending $500 million is just acceptable. And it's people showed up to say it's not. We voted for change. We put in an aldermanic board and a mayor that had Republican values, so they said, and that we need to hold their feet to the fire. Now we'll say, Ross Terrio did a great job at that hearing.
Yes.
You did a great job. Joe did.
Thank you.
Ed Sapienza. All of the Republican aldermen did a really great
Yep.
job.
Norm Vincent, Kelly Thomas. I mean,
Chris Morgan.
Kelly had, you know, we talk about it at length, you know, about, you know, special needs. And the kids aren't getting their IEPs.
They are not getting their IEPs met.
You know, people don't even realize it because what happens is, you know, you start to speak out and you get squashed.
Right, and so I passed the play-based kindergarten law when I was in the legislature
And
before.
what's that?
I think I'm going to expand it to grade 3.
Okay.
So it means that in kindergarten, the kids have to have a play-based curriculum because science showed us
Yes.
that
Oh my
that's
God, I
how
love
kids
this.
learn. That's less boys are diagnosed with ADHD because
Yeah.
they're moving, there's movement. And I know that Jen Gillis, Jen, she got married. I don't know her last name now, the superintendent, have
Sorry.
gone head to head over this. She keeps saying it's implemented. I worked on the preschool development grant for 4 years where we coached teachers in the classroom to do play. Many of these teachers reach out to me and say it is not being implemented. They're having kids sit down and do iReady on the computer to do testing in kindergarten.
That is not play, being on a computer.
No, and so what they're doing in the buildings need to be addressed. They need to stop looking at how do we get the scores up, because it's failing. If you look at the scores, that's not moving the needle. They need to look at how we actually work with kids and address kids and bring play back into the classroom, and for at least K through 3, and really concentrate on investing. This money is adequacy money. It's supposed to be invested inside the classroom.
And people just assume that it's for the buildings.
It's not for the buildings. It's adequacy. There's building aid from the state that helps take, and I'm sure the city has used it, that helps take care of building repairs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But adequacy is to help bring up test scores, basically. And a lot of towns got it because of COVID learning loss. But our district, again, made really poor choices.
Really poor
You really
choices.
cannot. I don't know why people keep electing these same people to the school board. They
Over and over
told
again.
your kids that they couldn't be in school for almost a year, and then the
Disgusting.
governor had to do a mandate to get kids back into school, and Manchester asked for they appealed it and asked for more time to get the kids back into school.
Oh my
so our
God.
kids didn't go back into school until
And they had to be masked
Yeah.
when no one else had to be masked.
Yep.
So this is like insanity. I'm so grateful that you did that for the gardeners, and I support that 100% because to me, kids need to play. I've always talked about this. I went to Beach Street School when I was in first grade, went to Webster and Hillside, and then Central. But playing is so important. I talk
It's how
about
they
recess.
learn.
And, we need to get out and move.
Yeah.
Movement is so important.
And-
And learning how to play, playing, learning and playing all go hand in hand.
So
Music, art,
Right. So
impactful.
studies have shown that kids that are read to and
Mm-hmm.
learn to read on their own gently,
Yeah.
they hold on to their skills much longer. Like they learn to love to read, they hold on to their reading skills much longer than kids that are like the sight words and you've got to do this and you've got to be reading in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
They get frustrated by it and they actually don't want to read anymore. And studies have just shown that play really helps kids retain information because that is how they're wired to learn. And we're trying to like rewire them. It doesn't work.
Oh, stick them in classes all day long with one recess. I'm like, that's
And
awful.
even at recess, these kids are so like
One
it's-
recess, that's unacceptable.
It's not like when we were kids, Chrissy, and we would just go outside and play and get into trouble and mischief and learn from falling down. And these
Consequences.
These kids are structured 24/7.
Yeah.
They go to school. Many of these kids, especially at the Beach Street School, they'll go in at 7 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast. They're there all day, and they'll be in the after-school program afterward. They have no time to be outside and just be kids.
And
And
it's so important.
so many kids are in multiple sports after school. It's all structured play, and they really need free play.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
so true.
Fall down, skin your knee. You learn how to do
Yes.
things differently. Get into a fight on the playground. You learn, conflict resolution kind of quick. And they're just not given the ability. Even in our schools, kids are told they can't fight back. If they're being bullied, they
Yeah.
can't fight back because they get suspended with the bully, right?
Yeah.
So we're teaching kids to be victims in everything. And it's just if they really want to change the way that things are happening and give these kids a better education and a better future, it's inside the building. It's not the
Yeah.
brick and mortar.
So true. So how do we make change?
We keep
We
showing
act-
up.
We keep showing up. We get active. It's just so important. I was so grateful and so relieved when I saw so many people and new faces too.
That was the important thing. And, when we reached out to folks, we said, all you have to do is say, I oppose this measure. That's it. Because it's really
Yeah.
hard to get up and speak.
It is. It's not easy, but once you do
Right.
it, all of a sudden your sea legs are getting stronger and stronger, and you feel good because you're standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know all the facts. People are like, well, what are all the facts? And it's like, you know what? Just learn a little something.
Yeah.
And ask questions. The biggest thing is asking questions because people that want to keep things hidden, they don't want people to ask questions.
Well, that's why they have it set up the way they do, right? So you have your 3 minutes. So I just put in a piece of legislation that will require you to have on the town and city's website on the front page a graph of taxes over the years, the state, county, school district, and municipal taxes, so
Yeah.
you can see how it's divided up. Because people keep thinking that taxes are being downshifted here and that it's the state side that's going up. It's not been the state side that's going up. Your state taxes are for education are like $1.14 per thousand. Your city taxes are like $13 per thousand. For just for education. So it's important for people to see that, right? Because they're getting their tax bills like, what happened? Your town happened. So
And how our city, town are spending the money.
yeah, and the revals, made everybody's prices go up.
Yes, and that's taxation.
Yeah.
When they reevaluate your property, that is taxation. So that affects us.
Yep.
And that affects, our grandparents and people that are, on fixed incomes, which we shouldn't just have to automatically start passing out the money.
Nope.
Like, this is ridiculous.
But the bill also says that any proposed building project, including schools,
Including
will have to also be on the front page of the website, stating what the cost is and what the impact will be on taxes in the city. How much will your taxes go up based on this project? Because I just don't think there's enough transparency, especially with this. And I'm seeing it not just Manchester, all over with these school buildings, right? They're kind of snuck in, and then people get their tax bills like, what the? Litchfield did a fantastic job getting rid of, they wanted to have like I think it was like a $60 million, it might not have been that much, but I think it might have been $60 million school built. And they were like, heck no, like we don't need to build a new school. We can't afford those property taxes. And they did a really good job stopping it. In Goffstown, they were trying to build a new library. And that the citizens came forward. Joe Alexander helped out too, Representative Alexander. And they put a stop to that. Like these buildings are what raises your taxes. And state of the art is only state of the art for 10 years. And then it's just not. Right.
And who says it's state of the art?
They're
These
talking about cables,
like,
I think, and
give me a break.
and Wi-Fi and wiring. Some of the best schools in the country have no technology. Like my son goes to Holy Family Academy, gets an incredible education. They are not allowed to have phones, and they only use laptops in the library. Like they only use computers in the library. Everything else is books, textbooks. Like he walks in with this big backpack, like Santa Claus in the morning. But that's what they do, and they get an excellent classical and a truly classical education. Right?
And that's where we need to get back to the basics.
We need to get back
to the basics. And the only way we're going to do that is you coming forward, you speaking out at the alderman meetings, showing up to the school board meetings. You can, review some of these at manchestertv.org on the government site, channel 22, so you can see. I always say, check things out on your own.
And Brittany and I have a show, Right with Courage, that is on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., channel 8 at 8. We Facebook Live it at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays, and we always cover what's going on in the city so that you know and you can show up if something's happening. This last one took us by surprise because it was a midnight deal, and we didn't know until almost the day of. So our show's on Wednesday, the meetings are on Tuesday. So, we did our best to get it out there to everybody to say this is what's happening. The aldermanic meeting that happened with the Beach Street schools, right?
Yes.
So we usually watch the aldermanic meeting, or Brittany does, and then we talk about it on Wednesday morning. So we can tell you what's happening. This one was like a weekend deal, and it showed up at the aldermanic meeting on the Tuesday, right?
Yes.
And we're getting the wrap up.
I know, we're getting the wrap up.
Half hour is so fast.
Oh my God, it's too fast. You know what? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are so blessed to have you as our senator.
Oh my gosh, we're so blessed to have you as an alderman because you have nerves of steel up there.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? We show up, we care, we love. God bless everyone. Wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Let's just be grateful and use our voices. And kindness matters. It goes a long, long way. So we can agree to disagree, but with kindness. And thank you so much. We love you. God bless Manchester and America.